Recess as star witness Michael Cohen testifies in former President Trump's criminal hush money trial. Trump's former lawyer and fixer is providing testimony that could ultimately determine the outcome of the trial. ABC News executive editorial producer John Santucci, senior reporter Catherine Falders, and legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer join me now for more on this. John, what's the latest from court?
We're on a break. It's been a really tense morning so far, so I think that break is needed for everybody in the room. I think what's been interesting from just our team's observations is how quickly we moved past the niceties, if you will, right into the meat and potatoes of this.
Wait, this is one of those moments where you feel the atmosphere shift before anyone even speaks. The kind where everyone in the room knows something different just happened. Because what unfolded in that New York courtroom didn't feel like another routine Trump headline. It felt like a long-building pressure point finally being hit. Attorney General Letitia James steps forward, calm and composed, and delivers a line that's hovered over this saga for years. No one is above the law. Not power. Not money. Not a former president. Then she walks away. No theatrics, no insults, just quiet confidence.
The message is simple. No matter how powerful you are, no matter how much money you think you may have, no one is above the law. And it is my responsibility and my duty and my job to enforce it. The law is both powerful and fragile. And today in court, we will prove our case. I thank you all for being here. And again, justice will prevail. Thank you.
Again, that was Attorney General Letitia James speaking very briefly before today's civil trial.
And this is where things really start to get interesting. According to courtroom reporting and the commentary that flooded online afterward, what happened next may be remembered as one of the most revealing moments of Donald Trump's post-presidency, maybe even his entire political career. Not because of a single ruling or a final verdict, but because of how he reacted as the case against him began to tighten. This civil fraud case, brought by the New York Attorney General, didn't come out of nowhere. It's the result of a years-long investigation into Trump and the Trump Organization, focused on how property values were presented to banks and insurers.
Donald Trump has clashed with the judge at his civil fraud trial in New York on Monday. The former president is accused of inflating the value of his properties in order to secure favorable loans. The judge told him to stop treating his court appearance like a political rally. It's just one of several legal battles Mr. Trump is currently facing. Here's our North America editor, Sarah Smith.
I think it went very well.
After a chaotic day in court, Donald Trump headed straight for the cameras, insisting he's being hounded for purely political reasons.
Everything we did was absolutely right. To think that we're being sued and spending all this time and money, and yet people being killed all over the world, that this country...
At the core, the allegation has always been simple, even if the paperwork isn't. Inflate asset values on financial statements to secure better loan terms and insurance rates. Do it repeatedly, and the state says that's fraud. Earlier in the case, the court had already ruled that Trump and his company were liable. That detail matters. Because by the time this moment in the courtroom arrived, the question wasn't did it happen, it was what are the consequences. Trump's legal team leaned heavily on one central defense. They argued that even if the financial statements were inaccurate, Trump himself wasn't directly involved. That he relied on accountants, lawyers, and other professionals, and that any exaggerations weren't personally directed by him. For a while, that argument bought them at least a sliver of breathing room. But then came the moment that set social media on fire. According to multiple reporters and legal commentators, prosecutors played audio recordings in the courtroom that they say captured Trump discussing property valuations in his own words. Not vague remarks. Not second-hand accounts. Allegedly, Trump himself talking about stretching the truth to secure better deals. Now, this part matters. These descriptions come from journalists covering the case and analysts discussing the proceedings. The recordings haven't been publicly released in full, and they're not something you can just download and listen to. But what happened next inside the courtroom and how Trump reacted is what turned this into a moment people can't stop talking about. Instead of calmly disputing the interpretation or letting his lawyers respond, Trump reportedly did what he often does when he feels cornered. He erupted. Witnesses describe him launching into a furious attack on Judge Arthur Engoron, accusing him of bias, calling the case a witch hunt, and transforming the courtroom into something that looked less like a legal proceeding and more like a political rally gone off the rails. At one point, the judge reportedly had to remind him more than once that this was not a campaign stop. And here's the part most people overlook. Courtroom decorum isn't just about manners. Judges care about it because it signals whether someone respects the authority of the court at all. When a defendant, especially a former president, ignores repeated warnings, it sends a message not only to the judge, but to the public watching from the outside. According to reporters in the room, Attorney General Letitia James barely reacted. No visible shock. No anger. She simply watched. That restraint quickly became a talking point online, with many commentators saying it looked like the reaction of someone who knew the evidence had already done the heavy lifting to understand why this moment landed so hard. You have to zoom out. From the beginning, Trump's public image has been built on one core claim: I'm rich because I'm smart. I win because I'm better at deals than everyone else. That image carried him from reality TV to the White House. It's the foundation of his political brand. So when a case doesn't just accuse him of lying, but suggests that the image itself may have been built on exaggeration and deception, it hits differently. This isn't about policy disagreements or partisan fights. It's about identity. Legal analysts quickly pointed out another layer of tension. Trump previously gave sworn testimony describing his role, or lack of one, in preparing financial statements. If the reported recordings truly show him personally directing how values were presented, that creates a direct conflict. And whenever sworn testimony collides with contradictory evidence, the word perjury starts getting mentioned. That doesn't mean charges are imminent, but it does mean the risk conversation changes. And then there's the gag order issue. Earlier in the case, Judge Engoron imposed restrictions on public attacks related to the proceedings, especially involving court staff. Trump has repeatedly pushed up against those limits. According to courtroom accounts, this outburst may have crossed them outright. That gives the judge broad discretion to impose sanctions, ranging from fines to procedural penalties. Here's why that matters politically. Trump has built his post-presidency strategy around turning legal trouble into fuel. Every indictment, every lawsuit, every investigation becomes proof of one message: they're afraid of me. That narrative works best when the legal process feels distant and abstract. A courtroom meltdown undercuts that strategy. Even some conservative commentators who are typically sympathetic noted that losing control in front of a judge doesn't play well beyond the base. It doesn't project strength. It looks like someone overwhelmed. Democrats, meanwhile, wasted no time connecting the dots. For them, this case reinforces a broader argument they've been making across multiple fronts, that Trump treats laws as optional and institutions as obstacles. With impeachment discussions still circulating, particularly from figures like Representative Al Green, moments like this get folded into a larger pattern rather than standing alone. Republican reactions have been uneven. The loudest loyalists dismissed the reports outright or claimed the recordings were taken out of context. Others pivoted quickly to unrelated issues like inflation or immigration. But a noticeable number did something else entirely. They went quiet. No defense. No condemnation. Just silence. And in politics, silence is often the most revealing reaction of all. Now here's the twist that hasn't gotten enough attention. Even if Trump ultimately reduces penalties on appeal, as is done before in this very case, the reputational damage doesn't rewind. Courts can vacate fines. They can remand rulings. But they can't erase a moment that millions of people have already decided means something. That's why so many commentators say the real impact of this trial may not be the dollar amount. It may be the erosion of the myth. The image of the unshakable dealmaker doesn't hold up well when paired with reports of rage, denial, and a refusal to engage with evidence. Supporters watching this unfold are being pushed toward an uncomfortable choice. Either the system is corrupt at every level, judges, courts, evidence, all of it, or Trump is not the man he's claimed to be. There isn't much room left in the middle as this case moves forward. There are a few things worth watching closely. How Judge Engoron responds to the alleged courtroom behavior, whether additional evidence becomes public, how political messaging shifts as election season heats up, and whether Trump continues leaning into confrontation or adjusts his approach, because moments like this aren't just about the law. They're about character under pressure. And pressure, more than anything else, has a way of revealing what's really there.